The time has come to finally review a family comedy without the family. Hey everyone, Lucimus Prime here. So it is time for a brand new movie review today for a new franchise of films I'm going to be reviewing. And this is going to be for one of my favourite Christmas movies of all time. One that is an absolute joy to watch every time I watch it every holiday season of Christmas time. And that, of course, is none other than 1990's Home Alone, directed by Chris Columbus. So, now, how was this film made? So this film, of course, was written by John Hughes, may he rest in peace. And he conceived the film while on vacation, with Warner Brothers being originally intended to finance and distribute the film. But they shut down production after it exceeded its assigned budget, and then 20th Century Fox assumed responsibilities following secret meetings with John Hughes. And then Chris Columbus was hired to direct the movie, and Macaulay Culkin was also hired to play the film's lead, Kevin McAllister. Filming took place between February and May 1990 on location across Illinois. And the film then premiered in Chicago on November 10th, 1990, and was theatrically released in the United States on November 16th. While the film's reception was initially mixed, in later years, reception has been generally positive, with praise for its cast, humour, and music. The film grossed $476.7 million worldwide, becoming the highest-grossing live-action comedy movie, unfortunately until the release of a film I don't like, which is Hangover Part 2. And it made Macaulay Culkin a well-established child star. And it was also the second highest-grossing film in 1990 behind the film Ghost. It was also nominated for a Golden Globe Award for Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, and Best Actor in a Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy for Macaulay Culkin, and also for the Academy Award for Best Original Score by John Williams, and also Best Original Song for Somewhere in My Memory. And it's been since regarded as one of the best Christmas films, and of course ended up spawning a franchise. When it comes to my reaction to this film, guys, so over the holiday seasons of my life, ever since I was a kid, I've always watched this movie, and the first time I watched this film, I absolutely loved it, and I regard it as one of my favourite Christmas movies of all time, and I always make it a tradition for me to watch this film every Christmas, and it's always an absolute blast to watch, and it's just incredible to me. So I definitely really love this movie. It's always an amazing joy to watch every holiday season. So, what is this film about? So, when 8-year-old Kevin McAllister accidentally acts up the night before a family trip to Paris, his mother makes him sleep in the attic. After McAllister's mistakenly leave for the airport without Kevin, he awakens to an empty house and assumes that his wish to have no family has come true. But his excitement soars when he realises that two burglars, Harry and Marv, plan to rob the McAllister residence, and he alone must protect the family home. So, what do I think is great about this film? So, for starters, I think it has a really great cast of actors. So, for example, when it comes, of course, to the film's lead, Kevin McAllister, I definitely really love Macaulay Culkin's performance as him in this, and he's my favourite role of his, and I think, considering he was a child actor when this film came out, he was, in my opinion, a great actor for his age, and he really did an amazing job playing Kevin, made him a very likeable and also relatable character, and just a really fun character to watch on screen, and I definitely really love Kevin. And onto as well the two antagonists of this film, of course, which is the burglars, Harry and Marv. And I definitely really love Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern as the characters. I think they both did a really amazing job playing the two burglars, made them pretty funny characters, I must say, because even though they're villains, they're characters that you tend to find really funny, and I definitely found them pretty hilarious in this, especially Marv. And Joe Pesci is a great actor as well, and Harry is definitely my favourite role of his, and the same thing applies to Daniel Stern and as Marv as well. And I definitely really love those castings. Joe Pesci I especially love the casting of because he's been well known to appear in lots of crime films. So I think playing a burglar in this film was definitely a good role for him to play, absolutely. And Harry is definitely a favourite role of his. And I also as well definitely love the addition as well of Robert Blossom, may he rest in peace, playing the role of Old Man Marley, who is of course the elderly neighbour of the McAllisters. And one highlight of this film that I definitely really love is the entire story behind Old Man Marley, the whole subplot about who he is, because Because when he, of course, appears in the first half of the film, we at first think he's a villainous murderer who was not, of course, sent to prison because there was no evidence about who he was. But then, after that, when Kevin goes to church on the night of Christmas Eve, of course, he finds Omar Marley there, and it turns out he's not a villain whatsoever. What was heard about him was all fake, and he's a man who wants to reconcile with his son and be able to see his granddaughter on Christmas Day, and he's there watching her sing in the choir. So, I definitely really adored his story in this, where we at first think he's a villainous character who we're meant to be scared of, but it turns out he's not that whatsoever. He's actually a good guy. And I especially love how he comes to rescue at the end to save Kevin as well. And at the end of the film, we see that he's reconciled with his son, and he gets to spend Christmas with his family. Just a really amazing way for that character to be portrayed right there. And definitely for Wall of Roberts Blossom, may he rest in peace. And I also, as well, when it comes to McAllister family, what I will say is that while I personally think they were all, in my opinion, pretty unlikable, pretty much, I really do think the actors gave a great performance playing most characters. So I definitely really love Catherine O'Hara as Kate McAllister. Definitely my favourite role of hers. And I think she played it really well in this. And I also, as well, love John Hurd, may he rest in peace, as Peter McAllister, as well, with the father of Kevin. And I think he played him really well. And also, as well, others too, such as, for example, Devin Ratray as Buzz, as well. And also Jerry Barron as Uncle Frank. Uncle Frank, though, is unfortunately one of my bad quality with his film, though, unfortunately. But I still think that Jerry did a very good job playing the character, bringing him to life. And I also like the others too in this as well, just to name a few, who play the McAllister family as well. The even had Macaulay Culkin's brother, Kieran Culkin, in this, playing the role of Fuller, who is actually Kevin's cousin in this film. So it's pretty cool that we got someone who literally looks like the main character to play a relative, because he's actually related in real life, which is pretty cool. And as well as that, I also saw a lovely addition of John Candy, may he rest in peace, as the musician who meets Kate at the airport and helps her get home to Kevin, Gus Polinski. I definitely really love Gus in this. Even though he didn't appear until pretty much almost an hour into a movie, I definitely really love the story of course, helping Kate and helping her get home. And I must say that he and his band are definitely great musicians, because their music was very catchy, I must say. And I think he was definitely a very likeable character who helped out. And I really loved his character in this. And also see where he and Kate have a conversation as well on the way home as well, which was very nice too as well, I must say. And as well as, of course, a great cast of actors as well, I think the story is absolutely fantastic, because the idea of an 8-year-old boy who is mistakenly left home alone by his family and has to protect it from burglars is just entertaining and, in my opinion, genius. John Hughes definitely did a really amazing job writing this story, and I definitely really love what he had for all this. And there's plenty of memorable moments too in this. Like, one of the reasons why this is an absolute joy to watch every holiday season for me is probably because of the funny moments, because this film has plenty of them. The humour, in my opinion, is perfectly executed and just really great to watch in this. And I definitely really love this. And also, as well, another highlight of this film for me, aside from, of course, the great cast and a fantastic story, is also, for me, the music, because it's composed by my favourite composer of all time, John Williams. John Williams, to me, is the greatest composer ever, and I think his soundtrack in this was absolutely phenomenal. For example, I loved the main theme he composed for the film, and also, as well, other amazing tracks too as well, such as for example, one particular scene with the music I definitely love is a scene where Kevin sets up the traps, because not only is it a very cool scene, how it's very creative in terms of traps being set up, but also because of the music, because the music, in my opinion, just fits perfectly for it, and it really gets you in the exciting mood, ready to see Kevin take on the burglars. And I think that was brilliant, in my opinion, how they did that. Yeah, John Williams, in my opinion, never fails whatsoever with his soundtracks. In my opinion, not once has he made one bad soundtrack, because he's an absolute legend, in my opinion. And his music in this is an absolute joy to listen to. Like, Somewhere in My Memory and the Trap Setting Up theme, just to name a few, really. Even music that plays when McCarthy's running through the airport as well, is also great to listen to as well. And when, of course, we're getting ready for it, it's pretty funny because we oversleep and we have to get ready really quickly. It's pretty funny. And I think the music definitely helps set the scene as being funny really well, I must say, too. And When it comes to how the characters are very well written, I've already said that Kevin, in my opinion, is a very well written protagonist. I think he's very likeable and also relatable too, and also Old Man Marley too. When it comes to the two burglars, Harry and Marv, I think they're both absolutely hilarious, and they make just superb partners in crime because, I mean, I must say that Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern had great chemistry with each other, which made their characters so convincingly real, in my opinion. And I love how Harry had an arrogant but so intelligent personality, while Marv has a cautious but easily frightened personality, which I thought was hilarious. So despite their stupidity, they're just competent and determined villains, really. And also, as well, when it comes as well to other parts of the story, one thing this film includes, which I think was really cool, and in my opinion helped it age well, is the inclusion of a movie in a movie. And that, of course, is the crime film called Angels with Filthy Souls, which is where Kevin watches a crime film, of course, which stars as an actor who playing a character in this called Ralph Foodie, I think he's called, as a gangster called Johnny in the film. And I must say that considering it was only one scene that Kevin was watching, they did a really good job making it feel like it's a completely different film, and it was just really cool. And also, where he kills the gangster called Snakes, played by Michael Guido. And I must say that Ralph Foodie's laugh when he shoots his Tommy gun is, in my opinion, pretty hilarious. And I must say, quite an underrated villain laugh, I must say, really. But I think deserves more attention, really. And I, of course, love his line he says at the end, of course, also as well, which is, "Keep the change, you filthy animal." Yeah, so I think by including a fictional film, of course, in this film, really, which doesn't exist outside of this film, I think it helps the film age well because it's not dated. It doesn't feature a really old film, which probably won't age well, really. But it actually has a fictional film in it, really, which isn't real in real life. So I thought it was a very good tactic. And we also saw Kevin watching a timeless classic being the Grinch film, which was very nice, the animated one. So that was pretty cool. A timeless classic being watched right there. And also as well, another thing as well that I also thought it did really well was also, in my opinion, the use of foreshadowing, because in the scene where, of course, Buzz eats Kevin's pizza and Kevin charges at him in anger, I mean, who wouldn't do that, right? I felt so sorry for Kevin in that scene. It's only for a brief second, but you can actually see Kevin's passport fall into the bin in the situation, really. So it goes by really quickly, and upon rewatching, I noticed it in there, and I was like, oh dear, looks like he won't be able to get on the flight. And of course, he never did in the first place because he ended up being home alone. And also as well, when Kevin's in the basement as well, and the furnace comes to life in his imagination and scares him as well, you can actually as well see the props he used for booby traps later on, which is pretty cool. And speaking of the booby traps as well, I definitely think the entire sequence of Kevin taking on Harry and Marv with the traps is just brilliant, in my opinion. It's hilarious, and I think a lot of thought really went into the traps in this. It was very creative, in my opinion. They did a really great job with it. And I always die of laughter watching this film because of those scenes. It's just really brilliant, in my opinion. And they're just very memorable too, I must say, really. And iconic to a franchise, really. And just really brilliant to watch from start to finish. And I also thought the film has a pretty amazing ending too, because at the start of the film, Kevin, of course, wishes he'd make his family disappear. Of course, he wishes they could all just disappear, like he says. But he then gets his wish, and at first he's really happy, but then, as the film goes on, he starts to miss them, and he wishes they'd come home. And at the end of the film, he gets his wish they'd come home, because first, of course, Kate returns home, and they have an emotional reunion. And then after that, of course, the rest of his family return home as well, and they make up too, especially with Buzz too as well, because Buzz, of course, is also not friends with Kevin at the start of the film. But unfortunately, of course, it's short-lived, because after, of course, Kevin sees Old Man Marley is reunited with his family, we then hear Buzz yelling, "Kevin, what did you do to my room?" And then Kevin, of course, has a short face and then runs away, and that's when the film ends. So it looks like, of course, that something was going to happen. I think it ended the film on a pretty funny note, I must say, really. So I thought that was just really funny, in my opinion. And also, as well, I think the film has lots of really funny lines too. I've already mentioned "Keep a change, you filthy animal," and also "Kevin, what did you do to my room?" But there's also, of course, the lines where people yell "Kevin" and all that, really, just so funny. And there's also, as well, the scene where Harry and Marv are in the traps, and of course, Harry says to Marv, "Why'd you take your shoes off?" And then Marv says, "Why dress like a chicken?" Like, that's just hilarious in my opinion. And as a fun fact, guys, that line was actually ad-libbed by Daniel Stern about dressed like a chicken, which was pretty cool, actually. I must say, for an ad-lib, it was a very good line, in my opinion. And so I definitely just love this film from start to finish. To me, it's a timeless classic, which has aged beautifully, in my opinion, because all things I've said, really. Because it was very creative with how it did the traps and the practical effects. So I think it's aged fantastically, in my opinion. And it's just an absolute joy to watch every holiday season for me. However, if I was thinking any bad qualities, what I will say is that while I still think the cast did a great job playing the characters, I personally think that Kevin's family, except for Kevin himself, are just, in my opinion, pretty unlikable. Like, I didn't really like Buzz because he was a bit of a bully towards Kevin at the start of the film, sadly. And also, as well, of course, how he name calls Kevin at the start as well. And also, as well, doesn't let him sleep in his room too, as well. And also, as well, he eats Kevin's pizza too, which, of course, starts the fight. And also, as well, I also really hated Uncle Frank in this too, as well. I thought he was very unlikable because he treats him so unfairly. And, of course, he says to him, "Look what you did, you little jerk." And he gets away with it too because no one says to him he was being rude or harsh. He gets away with it. So, yeah, I felt so sorry for Kevin in that scene, and to be honest, I can actually relate to him when it comes, of course, to that situation, really. And not to mention that Frank doesn't even seem worried about Kevin going missing too, because when, of course, Kate is upset about it, and Frank then says to her, if it makes you feel better, I've got my reading glasses. Like, really, Frank? Oh, my God. Yeah, that was pretty stupid, in my opinion, really. And also, as well, when it comes to the film's rating, it's rated PG here for me in the UK, but for some reason, it includes a fair bit of inappropriate language because at one point in the film, when Marv tries to see what's in, of course, Kevin's house, one of his shoes falls through a cat flap, and he, of course, says the S word. Now, why they didn't just cut that line out, or maybe have Daniel Stern say a different line and a different take, which was more appropriate for a PG film, is beyond me, really. I think it would have been better if he just cut that line out and put in a better line like, "Oh no," or something like that, maybe. You know, something like that, because I kind of feel what he said was inappropriate for a PG-rated film, really, to be honest. But nonetheless, though, I still, to this day, love this film, and it's one of my favourite Christmas movies of all time. It's always just an amazing thing to watch every Christmas time for me, and I really love it. So, anyway, guys, this is me doing my review for 1990's Home Alone, the first film of the franchise. So, if you were to ask me what my score for film is out of 10, I would definitely give it a full-blown 10 out of 10, because aside from the few quarters I mentioned, I still absolutely love this movie, and it's always an amazing blast to rewatch. And when it comes to what came next, of course, we get my favourite Christmas movie of all time, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, which I'm definitely really excited to rewatch and show pure love for next week. But unfortunately, it all goes downhill from there because we get to, of course, the 3 films I've seen, which I hate, unfortunately. So, wish me luck with those reviews, which are going to be trash talks. So, you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to tell us in the comments what you guys think of Home Alone from 1990. If you've seen it in the comments below, what you think of it. Also, be sure to join Team Prime by pressing subscribe and videos come in the future. And Merry Christmas, you filthy animal, and have a Happy New Year.